What's up, guys? Welcome back. So in the last video we kind of talked about the funnel architecture of this campaign. So if you're not caught up, you can go ahead and watch the previous video to kind of see the overall picture of how this funnel is laid out and kind of the goal and what we're working on. Today, basically what I'm going to talk about is how to optimize your funnel using heat maps. And we're going to be talking about a piece of software called Crazy Egg by Neil Patel. So it is a very helpful tool, and we'll kind of get into that right now. So like we talked about in the last video, we're driving traffic to, on one hand, an article, and on the other hand, a video. And the video is outperforming the article, meaning we're getting more opt-ins from people who are watching the video. And this percentage has actually gone down 1% since the last video. It's at 8% right now. So 8% of the people reading this article are then opting in for more information. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out this heat map and see how we can optimize this opt-in page and see if we can bring this percentage up. Overall, between the two, we're sitting at about a 12% contact conversion rate. So about 12% of people are opting in after looking at one of these two pieces of content. So let's go ahead and come over to Crazy Egg. All right, Crazy Egg login. Okay, so the titles here are kind of reversed, so don't pay any attention to that. But basically, let's go ahead and take a look. This is the article, okay? Now, since most of the traffic is coming from Facebook, you really want to keep in mind and basically build your funnel based on what it would look like to a mobile user, because most of the traffic is coming from mobile Facebook users and also Instagram. When you place an ad on Facebook, it will also be placed on Instagram as well. So being that a large majority of our traffic is coming from mobile users, that is what we want to focus on. So this is the article, and what we're looking at right now is a heat map. So as we scroll through, we can kind of see these little blue dots, and this is basically where people are clicking as they navigate through this article and read it. So we're going to look at a few pieces of data here. If we go all the way down to the very bottom, we can see, let's get down here. Okay, so when we get down to the very bottom, we can see that the majority of people, once they get down here, they are clicking on this video. So basically, the warmer the color gets basically means there's more clicks in that particular area. So if we look here, we can see this kind of reddish area. So you can see that a lot of people are clicking on this video. Now, one thing that we notice here is that there's actually quite a few clicks. You can see there's quite a few clicks on this piece of text. See how I recruited 34 new reps in one day. Now, what's interesting is that people are clicking on that, yet I don't have this as a link. In other words, it doesn't bring the opt-in pop-up when people click this. So I could actually be losing opt-ins because people are clicking this and nothing's happening. So that's a really valuable piece of information that we're going to use a little bit later. So the next thing we're going to look at is the scroll map. And this is really valuable because this will tell us what parts of the article that people are actually focusing on. So if we look over here on the right hand side, we can see that this white and yellow, really the bright areas are, people are spending a lot of time in this area. So as we scroll through the article, as it starts to turn red, there's a little less focus there, but red is still pretty good as well. And then we come down, we come down, we come down. Now it's starting to turn green and blue. So what that tells us is that people are getting to this part and they're not finding this part of the article very interesting. So they're just skipping on through, but then they start to focus in at this part again. So what we can take from this is that being that people are skipping through and then focusing here, that basically means that we want to try to optimize this part of the article. And the way that we can do that is I can actually come into this article and put a call to action maybe right underneath this picture. Because this is kind of bright yellow, you know, a lot of people are really focusing on this part of the article. I can go ahead and add in a call to action right there so we can start generating more clicks from people that are looking at this part of the article. So then again, as we start to scroll down, again, you know, people are a little bit less interested in this area, and then boom, you know, skipping over this area, and then back to here, back where these images are, you know, people are focusing on this part of the article again. So maybe add another call to action right underneath that photo as well. So then again, we scroll down, and boom, people are not interested in this part at all, it seems. And so we're not really getting a ton of traffic down to the bottom of the article. So we're getting 9% of people visiting this article are opting in, and now we know why. They're losing interest before they get to the bottom, so they never really have the opportunity to opt in down here. So this is really valuable information, and again, what this tells us is that we need to come to these interesting parts of the article, and we need to add some calls to action where people are actually focusing and looking at the article. So we're going to do that. Next, if we come over here and we come to probably the other helpful tool over here is the overlay, and this will actually tell us how many clicks are happening. So we can see that people are, for whatever reason, they're clicking on the logo. 2 people have clicked on the logo, 1 click on this image. Okay, nobody's clicking there. Okay, we got a click on that image, no clicks on that image. And then again, if we look here, we can see that there's 4 clicks on that green text, and that's actually not linked to anything, so I'm losing some traffic there. If we look down at this button, okay, show me the video, that's gotten 2 clicks. And that part as well got 1 click. So this button has gotten 3 clicks. So that's interesting. People, there's actually been more clicks on this green piece of text than there has been on the actual button itself. So that's, you know, we definitely need to link up this green piece of text and put in the opt-in pop-up there. Okay, and then on the video, we've gotten 6 clicks on the video, so the video is getting the most clicks, and that's just fine. That's already linked to the pop-up, as you saw in the last video. So very, very helpful information here. And let's go ahead and take a look at confetti. So this is another piece of data that's really helpful. If we come over here, we can kind of go through these different you know, different things that we can kind of check out and analyze. I'm not going to go through everything because it'll take quite some time, but I'll just go through a few things here. So the refer, obviously we can see where our traffic is coming from, so that's interesting. The large majority of traffic is actually coming from Instagram, okay? 79 visitors from Instagram, 38 users from Facebook mobile, and 9 visitors from the normal Facebook desktop, and 2 visitors from ClickFunnels, which is actually probably me from the last video I made showing you guys how this stuff works. So that's pretty interesting. The next interesting stat that I like to look at on here is time to click. Okay, and basically this is the amount of time that when somebody first gets on this page, this is the amount of time that they're spending on this page before they click on the link to open up the opt-in. So on average, or the majority of people that visit this page, 23 people who visit this page, they spent 5 to 7 minutes reading this article until they clicked the pop-up below. Pretty close to that, 22 people, they spent 7 to 10 minutes on the article before clicking the pop-up. 14 people spent 10 to 15 minutes on the article before clicking the pop-up. So we can see that the large majority of people are spending 5 to 7 minutes. So what that tells me is that I should put a timed pop-up maybe after the, 5, maybe around the 6-minute mark, I can put in a timed pop-up that will ask for the opt-in. So that's another piece of data that we can use to optimize this article. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come back to ClickFunnels over here, and I'm going to start implementing some of these changes. So I'm going to go ahead and implement a lot of these changes now, and then I'll be back as soon as I finish. Alright guys, so I'm back, and I went ahead and made a bunch of changes based on our new information that we learned from Crazy Egg. So let me run through this real quick. I went ahead and reset all the stats just so we have a bunch of fresh data that is accurate once we start getting some new traffic to these pages here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these changes. First and foremost, we know from the previous split tests that video converts a lot better than the article. So what I did is I went ahead and added the video is the very first thing that people see once they come to the article. I also know that based on this data from Crazy Egg, there's a ton of traffic that's reading through this first paragraph, and then it starts to slow down a little bit. So I wanted to make sure that we optimize this part of the article. So if we come back to the article here, we can see that I've added a bunch of buttons here. So right underneath the video, they can click this button, which brings up the pop-up. Okay. Now, basically what I've done is I've added a button underneath every image, but not just adding a button. I went ahead and made the image itself clickable to where the image itself will bring up the pop-up if somebody happens to click that image, because we know we were getting clicks on a lot of these images. So based on the data from Crazy Egg, we can see there's a ton of attention right here at the top of the article. And then as we scroll down, basically anything that's in the red is still pretty good. We're still getting a lot of attention. So underneath this first image, I went ahead and added a button, and of course made the image clickable as well. And just as we go through the article, we can see that attention starts to kind of die out through this area, but then picks right back up again at this image here. So if we come back over here, I went ahead and made this image clickable, brings up the pop-up, and of course added a button underneath the image as well. And same thing for the rest of the image here. As we scroll down, again, people start to kind of lose interest, and then they're focusing on this image here. So same thing, made the image clickable, added a button. Okay, so this is all giving our traffic extra opportunities to opt in as they're going through all of this content. And then we know from what we were looking at on the heat map at the bottom, we know we're getting some clicks on this text right here. So I went ahead and made that clickable as well to bring up the pop-up. And same as before, the video brings up the pop-up and the button as well. So I've added a ton of extra opportunities for our traffic to go ahead and opt in once they visit this page. And obviously, again, we know that video converts a lot better, so I went ahead and added the video in there. And last but not least, I went ahead and added a timed pop-up. So basically at the 6-minute mark, we know from the data on Crazy Egg that people are basically hanging out on the article. They're going through the content, and the large majority of people are basically on the page for 5 to 7 minutes before clicking one of the links. So I went ahead and added a timed opt-in to where at the 6-minute mark it will automatically bring this pop-up. So that's a ton of changes that we've made. And so now it's just a matter of letting some traffic come into these pages, and I've made no changes at all to this page, so this should basically end up around 18 or 19% in terms of conversions, and this one will hopefully be brought up somewhere in the 20s in terms of contact conversions. And again, if you're wondering what I'm using to basically create this entire funnel and do all of this testing, this is ClickFunnels, and again, I have the link below to the 14-day free trial for that if you're interested in duplicating this type of funnel or really just monetizing any type of traffic or products or anything like that. So that's it for now. We'll just go ahead and wait for some traffic to hit this page, and I'll see you next time with the results. See you soon.